Good morning, Frank Ehrhardt with John R. Wood Properties, Christie's International, and it is just past Labor Day, and wanted to bring everybody up to date on what's happening in the current market and talk about recent trends here too. So, as most of you know, we just had a tropical storm here, Idalia, go through not less than a week ago, and didn't hit us. Ended up hitting up in Big Bend, Florida, and turned into quite a large storm. Not too much damage down here. We had some localized flooding, and I've got some pictures here. So this first one here is my neighbor's dock during the storm, and then here's one I just took this morning. So you can see we probably had an increase in elevation of the water, probably about 2 feet or so. And then here's another picture that I'm going to show you. And this was out on Sanibel, and so this was a bayside home, and they ended up taking some water into their pool, and you can see this was a couple days after the storm then. So relatively minor damage here, but it did draw some concerns for the area. So one, anytime a hurricane hits Florida, that does damage to the insurance companies. And so after Ian last year, the insurance companies were already struggling, and another big storm hitting Florida is not going to help the insurance industry at all. We're already facing higher insurance costs, and interest rates now still hovering probably just north of 7. Talk of them actually increasing. Inflation still going up, or still pretty strong. So those two factors definitely have buyers sitting on the sidelines right now. And so let's talk about what's happened in the market here. So first up, I want to show you, and I'll put all these graphs up. This is the number of sales in Lee and Collier County. And so for the month of August, we're only down about 6% from the prior year in total sales. So the market did start to slow down towards the end of August, or towards beginning of summer last year. So being only down 6% isn't too bad, and for the year we're down about 16%. So actually it looks like we might be improving a little bit. And for September, October, November, our sales numbers last year were really low because of Ian. So so hopefully a bright spot there. Next thing I wanted to show you is the active number of listings versus months of inventory. And so listings here, you can see that they're declining. So this is our peak in January, and kind of what they typically happens is they go down through the rest of the year then. And so our listings are declining, but they are up 18% from the prior year. And again, last year was a pretty, inventory was really scarce last year. And then for the months of inventory, we've got a 6-month supply right now, and that's very much an equilibrium market. So it's not a buyer's market, not a seller's market. What's happening to pricing? And so here's a sales price versus days to sell. And so you can see this green line here. We're holding pretty steady now. So we're down about 8% from the prior year. 8% down from the peak, which was May or June of last year. But our prices are equal with last year. So, for those buyers that are on the sidelines waiting for this large price decrease, I don't think you're going to find it. So, and sellers still tend to believe that their homes are worth more than what the market's telling us right now. So, I've talked about this reconciliation between buyers' expectations and sellers' expectations, and we still haven't come to that happy spot yet. And so days on market, it's continuing to grow. I talked about that last month. So we're at 33 days now. Honestly, I think we're going to end up somewhere in the 40s in the not too distant future. Homes are sitting longer, and again, buyers waiting for this big price drop. Sellers think their homes may be worth a little bit more than they are. So we still need to reconcile that. I think what we need is a good cold snap up north, and that would probably help us out a little bit here. I talk a little bit about a couple of specialty areas too, and so this one is an interesting one. This is condos on Fort Myers Beach, and so you can see that the number of listings has actually dropped again, and so 154 this year versus 140 last year. So fairly decent amount of similar inventory from this year to last year. The interesting thing, and I actually had to go back and check this a couple times, we actually had 48 sales in the month of August for condos on Fort Myers Beach. And I dug a little deeper because I just didn't believe that we sold 48 in 1 month. And there's a development at the south end of the beach called Grandview and Grandview at Bay Beach. And they sold 27 condos pre-construction, and the average price of those 27 units was $1.8 million. So what I think is going to happen on Fort Myers Beach, a lot of the older condos have decided to sell to developers. Outriggers and Charlie's Restaurant just sold for $38 million. There's a couple other big parcels, and so those condos that are going to go into those locations are going to be in the $2, $3, $4 million range. And so, these condos that are existing that you see in the 500, 600, 700 range, I think those are going to look like a deal. I should also mention that the Grandview is not on the beach; it's across the street from the beach. So, but people are looking for that new construction. What's happening in Cape Coral with the million plus listings, and so we've got 270 homes in Cape Coral over $1 million right now, and so and we only sold 21 in the month of August. So we've got about a 13-month supply now of $1 million homes in Cape Coral, and again, I think this is going to be another area that sellers feel that their homes are probably worth more than they are, and buyers are waiting for some more of a price decrease on those homes. Finally, Sanibel just closed on a house last week on Sanibel. And so we've only got a 7-month supply. So investors, people are coming back to the island. And so we've got a number of restaurants that are open now. It looks a whole lot better. It started to actually green back up. So I think we'll see decent activity this season out on Sanibel. And I think we're going to see some of these homes get snapped up here fairly quickly. So active number of listings, same thing that we saw overall. Listings are down and sales are up. So we sold 30 this year and we sold 25 last year. So actually activities increased from the prior year. So any questions, feel free to give me a call, 239-896-3437. If you have any questions, looking to come down and purchase something before the fall, winter season, sellers looking to consider what is your home worth today, give me a call and I'll give you an honest opinion of what I think you could market your home for and what it could realistically sell for. Again, Frank Ehrhardt, John R. Wood Properties, Christie's International. Have a great weekend, and look forward to catching up with you next time.